All you need to know about that one is that early in the fourth quarter, we got to hear all about Joe Buck's time on Good Morning America this morning, talking about getting free shipping for Christmas. That was the state of the Monday night game tonight. That's
Troy
what we got.
Troy Aikman uttered the phrase biohacker, which is not something I thought I was ever going to get from Troy Aikman on an NFL broadcast. So that was kind of a delightful little gift.
Is anybody better equipped to riff through a meaningless second half than Troy and Joe? Like, we've talked about how their curmudgeon-y buddy comedy thing works really well at this point in their careers, and they're so entertaining when the game is not. It's an underrated skill because that's actually really hard.
The only thing I took issue with, when you are down by what would be 16 points if you were to kick the extra point in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter, we cannot fixate on keeping it a 2-possession game if you did not need the 2. This is a dumb talking point when you need 1 2-point conversion, let alone when you need at least 2 of them over the course of the second half of the game. I can't believe we're still doing this.
I kind of love it, not because I agree with Troy Aikman, but the way that happened was great because the Giants score you knew this was meaningless. Like, you knew there was no comeback coming, and they go for 2 and they get it. And it's like, oh my God, it's 30-15. How quaint. Like, the score looks a lot better than it should. And we went to break and the Patriots got the ball back and we were doing 10 or 15 other things. And Troy Aikman took the time to be like, hey, by the way, I know that happened 10 minutes ago and it worked, but it sucked. I hated it. And I really admire the dedication to being a hater of analytics, to be like, hey, remember that thing that worked that's really not worth calling out? Well, I just want you to know I still hate it. And I don't know. I respect that a little bit. I respect the amount of petty and curmudgeonliness that goes into that.
If you're just treating him as like your uncle at the Thanksgiving table or whatever, and you've got to be annoyed about some of his regressive views on stuff, maybe we just fold that into the Troy Aikman experience.
That is Troy, though, where you're like, oh, that's just Troy. He played in the 90s. What are you going to do?
I've kind of accepted and embraced it. The rest of what he does now is so good that I kind of am like, there's a part of it that it's like as part of the package deal.
That's where I sit with it. And I think here, this is the truth of it. I'm taking out my frustration at Kirk Herbstreit, who deserves it 10 times more. I'm taking it out on Troy Aikman in an unfair way.
Correct.
I apologize for that. It's misguided. I didn't have a chance to yell at Kirk about it on Friday because I immediately got in the car after that game ended. So now it's just a little bit of misplaced anger that unfortunately is blowing back onto Troy. So you guys are right on that. The other kind of intangible thing I want to talk about coming out of this game before we dig into the specifics. The Patriots are so annoying. Like, I'm so annoyed at this. We haven't really talked about it in these terms at any point this year. And tonight just kind of made it really click into place for me. The idea that all of these teams with these second-year quarterbacks, either they're hurt like Jaden Daniels, or we're going back and forth with every single game and every single throw as these fan bases are trying to talk themselves into whether this is the guy, and we're all just deeply hoping that we found the guy. This team had to spend 4 years in the quarterback wilderness after having the best quarterback of all time for 2 decades, and then immediately in his second season, the guy they drafted in the top 5 last year was clearly one of the best players in the league. Like, clearly. And tonight, it crystallized in such a ridiculous, absurd, obnoxious way, watching how he went about that game. This is a player that is capable of outrunning Abdul Carter to the sticks on a scramble, like step for step able to do this. His downfield accuracy in this game was obnoxious. Like, the touchdown to Kyle Williams is absurd. The touch he puts on the throw to Kayshon Boutte is just like, all right, fine, fuck it, whatever. And every little thing he brings to the position is like finely tuned and nuanced and exactly what you should be doing. Like, the fact that this 6'4" freak show with the rocket launcher arm has the level of refined and natural pocket movement that he does, and he doesn't drift in the pocket, and he always steps up in the correct way. It's annoying as shit. Like, I just cannot believe we've landed here 20 games into his career after this team had to spend 4 years hemming and hawing about who their quarterback would be.
Dave, you go ahead, because I'm gonna have a lot to say here.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, let me get in before Derek just opens his memoir to Drake Maye. Actually, can I start and see if y'all want to meet me halfway on a take that I was formulating during the game? And let me preface this by saying I'm well aware Drake has made a huge amount of amazing plays, like some of the throws in the Tampa game. The Kyle Williams throw in this game. He makes disgusting throws every single week. But if you're sitting there talking about Drake Maye as an MVP candidate, sometimes I struggle to think of like oh wow, oh my God, like that's his MVP moment play. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory sense, because like I said, I know he does it every single week, but he is so calm and decisive and poised, and just every single thing he does, even the crazy throws, the highlight reel plays, they have this like routineness to them. Whereas when you think about Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like I'm not even talking about other young quarterbacks, but the other great quarterbacks in this league, you think about the crazy scrambles on 4th down where you dump truck 2 guys and somersault into the end zone, or you're just doing donuts in the backfield, getting away by a shoestring and launching some crazy pass while you're falling to the ground. Like, Drake Maye doesn't do that shit. He just smartly and calmly identifies the play that needs to be made and does it. And it's very impressive and very cool, but it's like, I hate to say it's not memorable, but do you get where I'm going with this? Where there's just sort of this, there's this crazy, like, just poise to his game that almost it makes the extraordinary look mundane, because he looks so controlled in what he is doing, and it's just very remarkable and strange to me.
And that's what's so crazy, is it wasn't supposed to be like this.
Yeah. No, he was. For as much as I loved Drake Maye coming out of college, I thought he was gonna look a little bit more like Josh Allen, like that type of path. And like, even when Josh Allen was good for the first 2 years of him being good, he still did stupid shit all the time. It's just that the good stuff kind of outweighed it, and it never really mattered. He is Drake Maye, is such a nonchalant and suffocating kind of good. Like, there was a play in the first half where they come out in this mug look, and I think a lot of young quarterbacks, when they see that, when it gets popped out, they don't know who's going to pop out. They don't know what's going to happen. And so once they start to see the picture post-snap unfold on them, they can get a little panicky. They can get a little jumpy. Drake Maye just like casually bops back, gets to the top of his drop. Okay, I got to step up and I'll go whip and make it throw over the middle of the field. But like, none of it feels like he's rushed ever, no matter how the picture is changing on him, no matter how the pocket is collapsing, no matter what he's got to do to race Abdul Carter to the edge. Like, none of it just doesn't feel like he has panic to his game, really, which maybe he did a little bit as a rookie. Maybe he did a little bit for the first month of the season. But as he's gone on this year, you just feel like an unbelievable amount of confidence in what he's doing. And honestly, the players that he's throwing to, like, it's really cool that he has developed such a chemistry with a lot of these guys, and like has a really insane amount of built-in faith that these guys are just going to make plays, and he puts the ball where it needs to so they can.
I said coming in to the draft, and even like during his rookie season, I thought, to me, the ideal outcome for this is that Drake Maye is what would happen if you put Josh Allen's brain in Justin Herbert's body, which is a player I was very interested in, right? Because Derek, you and I have gone back and forth on this a million times. Like, before last year, and he's kind of settled into being ignoring this, and I've enjoyed it. I was always a little bit annoyed that Justin Herbert was like too refined and a little bit too cautious. I wanted more aggressiveness, more almost recklessness in Justin Herbert's game than we often saw post his rookie year until last season in his first year with Jim Harbaugh. And so the idea of putting Josh Allen's brain in Justin Herbert's body and having that be a quarterback in the NFL, I was really looking forward to that. And that hasn't happened. Like, he's almost too restrained and too calm. And I actually like this as a take, Dave. Drake Maye bypassed the fun version of himself. He bypassed like the reckless, entertaining, a little bit rough around the edges developmental years, and is now just like a pristine player. And that's better if you want to win football games, if you're the Patriots. But I think those of us who aren't actually invested in the wins and losses did miss out on what should have been a quintessential part of the Drake Maye growth and experience. I do believe that.
It's the nicest thing you could say about the guy is like, and don't get me wrong, he plays at a really high level. He makes great decisions. It is entertaining to watch, but there's not that pit in your stomach, either excitement or dread feeling that you often get from young quarterbacks where like when they're coming to the line on third down, you're like, your eyes are going to that TV where you're like, oh, I got to see this. I mean, Caleb Williams is the perfect example where you're like,
yeah, you're telling me, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you're like, this is going to be incredible or stupid or some combination of both, but I am glued to this. Whereas a lot of times with the Pats, you're just like, and obviously we're talking about like a Sunday, not tonight where they're the only game on, but like you look away and you're just like, oh, yep, Drake did something else cool on third down. Great example, late in this game, he made it look so routine. They had 3rd and 7 in plus territory, and the Giants send 6. They're playing with a backup left tackle, by the way, because Will Campbell's on IR. So they send 6. The Pats, they slid left. They don't account for Abdul Carter coming off the right. And Brian Burns just beats Vidarian Lowe coming off left tackle. And so both of the Giants' vaunted edge rushers just have a beeline on Drake Maye. And he just takes 3 steps back and flat-footed fires the curl to Hunter Henry. Just like, oh, okay, they're both free. Well, there's that, and boom, and they get 8 yards, and it's a first down. And it's just not supposed to look that routine and easy for a second-year quarterback. But that's been Drake Maye this year.
Let's get to the quarterback on the other side of the ball. The funniest, it's not funny. The I can't believe that just happened moment in this game. We spent the entire week doing a treatise on how Jaxson Dart needed to take better care of himself while running the football. And then on the second drive of the game, he has every opportunity to duck out of bounds and instead gets obliterated by Christian Ellis on the sideline. Obliterated. I can't believe that happened. I can, based on everything that we've seen from Jaxson Dart,
right?
But the fact that it happened almost immediately on the heels of everything that we talked about for the last 2 weeks is just too much.
I think the craziest part to me is like when we've gotten so accustomed to now seeing hits like that on the sideline where we're like, surely the quarterback was out of bounds and this was an illegal hit. But then you watch it back and it's like, no, he's obviously in bounds. This is a perfectly clean hit. The Giants bench like doesn't even react because they're looking at it and they're like, well, he was in bounds. I don't know why he's trying to stay in bounds and take that hit. But he obviously has that moment that I think is like an extreme Jaxson Dart moment. There was also, I believe in the first half, they tried to run like a little option play out of this full house look. And he tries to take it to the right, doesn't like that it's a little bit cut off. And instead of just like racing to the edge, we take 2 yards here, whatever, he turns all the way back around and then like
chest pass.
Chest passes the ball to a running back, which of course gets a legal man downfield because it's like 6 seconds into the play. I'm like, dude, we need to like cut his time from snap to end of play in half and he might be decent.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm so glad you mentioned that play because that really was the other special moment that we got from this offense over the course of this game.
And the 2-pointer where he's like running around for the entire time at the end, which that one he actually does make a good throw, but like he has a gift for making plays last way longer than they should.
I wanted to mention going back to the hit on the sideline. I don't know if they ate their Wheaties or if this is like vengeance for Super Bowls 42 and 40, whatever it was, 47. But the Patriots were just hitting the shit out of the Giants throughout the early going of this game. Like the Dart play, the Harold Landry sack of Dart early on in this game. Christian Gonzalez blasted the hell out of Wan'Dale Robinson. Obviously, Christian Ellis depleted Gunnar Olszewski on the kick return. They were just laying the wood on Giants players all through the competitive part of this game. And even by NFL standards, it was very jarring how many very, very nasty hits were happening in this game. Patriots were, I assume they were trying to set a tone. If they weren't, they accomplished it anyway.
I like this just as a general thought because with the Patriots specifically, and we'll revisit the table conversation at some point over the next few weeks, like if their offense is going to play like this and the quarterback is going to play like this, the imperfections about the rest of the roster talent-wise like start to matter a little bit less to me, but that's a conversation for another day. I think that the combination of the quality of the quarterback play and what we've seen from the offense combined with clearly just like the organizational kind of mentality and confidence that has crept in the Mike Vrabel era, like those things coming together at the same time, even if they still do have a little ways to go when it comes to papering over some of the deficiencies they have talent-wise, I think that's been the coolest thing to watch, is that you have a combination of this ascending star at quarterback combined with a team that has clearly clicked into something, even if the players aren't quite good enough yet. And I think that's probably, if you were building a best case scenario for how this Patriot season could go, those two things were the most important things. And they have happened in ways that are like bubbling over right now. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, this is like beyond best case scenario.
Yes.
It like could not have gone any better. And like this is all like one of their only two losses was they lost a really weird game to the Raiders in week 1, which like I'll give just about anybody like a flub for week 1. Like who cares? Like that doesn't really count. And otherwise they've only lost a game, which is completely insane. And like this team, I think to me, like obviously what they've done with the offense and Josh McDaniels coming in, Drake Maye taking the step that he took, all of that is super impressive. To me, even though the defense has its issues, that was the side of the ball where they clearly made a lot of personnel changes in terms of the guys they wanted out of the building, and Vrabel, I think, bringing in a lot of his guys. And a lot of those guys, even if just as tone setters, the way that Harold Landry is or Spillane or whoever, they've kind of made good on some of that. And again, I think they still have talent issues on that side of the ball, but I think it's a better, more forceful unit than it was last year, even if it's still probably liable to lose them some games against better teams.
Yeah, I think just the second and third level in the spine of the defense is just going to need addressing and just going to need injections of talent
another year, and that's fine.
Like it's just, and we all thought that, right? Like even in the best case scenario, I still thought they'd need another year, and that's why I was a little bit skeptical of all the spending that they did. I was like, man, these are like the Carlton Davis contract, for example. I was like, this is an aging corner on a team that still has a decent ways to go. I'm not sure how well this is going to age. Well, if you're going to have the MVP at quarterback, then there is no extended timeline. Like all of those contracts become worth it immediately. And listen, if Elliott Wolf and Mike Vrabel knew that Drake Maye was going to be this, more power to him. It all makes the offseason plan make a lot more sense in cohesion with like what you're expecting from the quarterback. But I just never in a million years thought it would all come together in the way that it has so far. It's been remarkable.
I just want to shout out to Derek. Highlighted that one of the losses was the season opener to the Raiders, and then the other one was to the Steelers in a game where you could not stop turning the ball over, oftentimes on the goal line. Like that's what
their
we're
losses.
That's what we're talking about here.
To be fair, they have not played very many good teams, and so
they have not.
That's the only caveat to this. But they're beating the shit out of the teams that they're better than, and that's what you want to see.
That's the nice part about it is like, if you're going to have an easy schedule, at least beat most of them to a pulp. And they are beating most of these teams by 2 scores, if not more. And
ignore the way the Bengals game started last week. Just don't worry about that. But for the most part,
I actually have a take on that related to the hitting. They felt a little sleepy in the Cincinnati game. I think that was probably their most out of character game that they've played basically like since losing that Steelers game, maybe. And I think them getting a little bit more activated, like really hitting people, really being buttoned up. I think that was a little bit of like, all right, we got to prove that we have we have to prove that we have our things back in line here.
Do we have Robert, is there like a deadline on adding or taking teams off the table, or like, do we have to cut it again? Like we're
going to cut it again before the playoffs,
okay.
But we can absolutely add or subtract teams in the meantime before we get to that.
The Pats are on their bye now. They're one of the last teams to get their bye week. And then it's Buffalo at home in a game that maybe not mathematically, but for all intents and purposes could lock up the division, take the division from Buffalo for the first time in whatever it is, 5-6 years. So I'm circling week 15 there as an opportunity to revisit the Patriots as a table team.
Yeah, I think that's a good time to do it. And then obviously they have the Ravens the week after that before finishing off with the Jets and Dolphins. So they have how many real teams did the Patriots play this year?
I
Bills
got
twice.
it open.
Yeah, I mean, outside of their 2 games against the Bills, I mean, they played the Bucks.
The Bills twice, the Bucks.
They beat the bricks out of the Panthers, and the Panthers are not like a great team, but at least that's like you have
the
to clear this
7-6 Carolina
serious.
Panthers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
they're not
right.
bad.
It's not even to admonish the Patriots. You play who's on your schedule, which is funny how bad their schedule has been this year. Speaking of bad, let's do a little bit of Giants housekeeping before we leave here. I'm so disappointed in the Giants. A week, 2 weeks after you did everything you could, just throwing the entire kitchen sink at the Lions trying to win that game, you're going to have a 4th and 1 down like 3 scores from your own 35-yard line and then punt the ball away only to give the other team a field goal at the end of the half. Like that type of mindset, I was just very disappointed in that because I hadn't enjoyed the, you know what, the ship is going down, let's have a good time as it does mindset from Mike Kafka. And the fact that we seem to stray from that, didn't like seeing that today. And now I'm at a point where I just think that if it's going to keep going like this, how many reasons do we really have to not clean house in New York? Like, what are the reasons that are still left to justify rolling with this front office when you look at the quality of this team top to bottom? I'm just not sure what they are outside of like some hand wave at stability that most organizations, I think, would like to keep the facade up of that. But other than that, I just am not sure what the compelling argument is here.
I don't think there's a great one. Like the best player, like one of the best players on obviously Malik Neighbors has not played, and obviously you get some amount of credit for drafting him, but like he's a top 8 pick. You should just hit, like every GM should just hit on those. Like you don't get a whole lot of credit for that.
In that draft, you should be hitting on your top 8 picks.
Yes, you should be hitting on those guys. It's like I don't really give him a whole lot of credit for that, and so I don't really buy the stability argument. Any of that stuff. Like I'm not really interested in that. And also, even if we want to talk about some of the guys that they drafted highly, Abdul Carter was benched for the first half of this game for some sort of coach's decision. But the fact that like the guy that you just drafted is three months into the season getting benched for stuff like that is like kind of frustrating when you don't have any other thing to really hang your hat on as this team.
Yeah, I mean, what do you feel good about for the Giants moving into whatever this looks like next? I mean,
the offense has something, but like it's not great.
I think the quarterback has shown enough for you to be excited about him as a rookie quarterback in a pretty bad situation. Like that's enough optimism moving forward for whoever the next regime is. But I'm not sure you can hang your hat on anything that this regime deserves a lot of credit for. Brian Daboll is the one that wanted to draft Jaxson Dart.
Yeah, we can't give that to Shane now. That doesn't make any sense.
I also really didn't appreciate how Kafka went for it on 4th down coming out of the half, where like somebody told him at halftime, like, "Hey man, what are we doing?" And he was like, "You're so right. All right." And so he he did what was appropriate after it was already too late. And I mean, it wouldn't have worked. Let's be honest with ourselves. But yeah, like for the situation that you're in, I hate when teams can't acknowledge the situation that they're in. And that's a really great point, Robert. They did a really good job of going for broke last week. And like that's not fun anymore? Or I don't know. Like why are we going back to trying to play it the traditional way here? Is it to try to stabilize things around a young quarterback? Whatever, man. Let it rip. Like Jaxson Dart's clearly not worried about it the way he handles getting out of bounds. So whatever, let's go for it.
The last thing I wanted to mention, just all the special teams flubs from the Giants. Obviously, you return a punt return touchdown, you fumble a kickoff return. The Younghoe Koo thing is one of the funniest things I've ever seen happen on an NFL field.
We were not going to get out of here without me bringing up the field goal that wasn't. That was incredible.
I love that he's not credited with a miss.
Right, he doesn't get a penalty.
Hit the ball.
The holder is the one who looks like the asshole here.
Jamie Gillan is credited with a sack now. He's a Scottish punter. He now will, in retirement, be able to tell anyone. Like he was sacked in an NFL game. I laughed when I saw the box score and saw that's how they scored it.
Listen, we're not blaming other people for sacks now. We're in the modern era of understanding the sport. Sacks are a punter stat. We've gotten to that place.
The The way I think everybody in America thought that was some sort of misguided fake at first, and then like when the replay happened,
What else would it have been?
I thought he tore something like on the approach, and it was like, oh God, he's gonna go down, and then he kind of just stands there and looks around, and I'm like, well, he's fine. How the hell is this supposed to end?
Slip with the plant foot, and then it just—I mean, it really did look like me with an iron in the fairway. I mean, that's exactly what it was. It's my first shot of the day. That was the feel to it. What a day. What a day.
It's not just that it was funny, it's that every now and then this sport has a pretty unique ability to just have a thing where I'm like, I've never seen that before. That's the first time I've ever seen someone do that on a professional field.
It's so great. It's such a great point because you have 22, and even in this case, with the specialists, you got 27 or whatever moving parts over the course of any given game. The permutations of how weird shit can get, it's incalculable. And so eventually if we're living like the multiverse when it comes to football, every single eventuality is on the table. We're going to get them all if you watch the game long enough. And that is a truly beautiful thing.
One more thought before we're out of here. I'm just thinking about like where the Giants are. And they showed it during the broadcast. I didn't find this myself, but the fact that the Giants had 6 head coaches in their history a decade ago, and they've had 6 since, is that's rough. It's not where you want to be.
Is that right?
Or it probably not, because the Giants are a super old organization, but like it was
maybe
6. It was like 6 over several decades, like going back to the old days, and they've had 6 since like 2015. Like they're just
crazy.
It's the New York Giants, man. You're not supposed to be a revolving door of coaches like this. But I agree with you, Robert. Like I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing why you wouldn't want to just get a fresh start here. Like what's here that you're worried about carrying over?
There's no tangible progress. I mean, I think that's the part that's so discouraging, is that even as you theoretically, and I know Malik Neighbors is hurt, but even as, and Cam Scattered, but whatever, as you theoretically assemble more talent because you're drafting high all the time and you spent in free agency, in theory, there should at least be some example of progress in a positive way. And outside of the quarterback, and that's more about potential than progress, I just don't know how much there is. Like, I don't know what you can look at and say, yeah, that's gotten better. That's moving in the right direction. That I feel good about. There are certain position groups like the offensive line that are now acceptable in ways they weren't a couple of years ago. But is that really what we're going to go with? Like, even in the defensive line that they've assembled, Dexter Lawrence was the pick of a previous regime. Kayvon Thibodeau is kind of a letdown for a top 5 pick in the way that he was, even if he's a playable guy. You drafted Abdul Carter with the 2nd pick in the draft, and you had to pay out the nose to get Brian Burns. You had to trade a 2nd-round pick and pay that guy. That's not a skill. I can swipe my credit card for as much money as I want to. That it doesn't show a discerning taste in how to build the team. So even the best part of this, I don't think was done in a shrewd enough way where they should deserve the credit for it.
I'm in the same boat. Like, I don't understand what is here that is like worth holding on to. And we talked about this a little bit, Robert, like a few weeks ago, once they fired Brian Daboll, about like, how should they tie all this together? Blah, blah, blah. Do you fire everybody? Blah, blah, blah. And I think at the time it was a little bit more unclear. I think I'm now at the point, like, what? There's nothing to hold on to. What's the point?
It's really funny that the best draft pick, the best in-house player on the team, is still from Dave Gettleman era.
Oh, Thomas?
You had it right, man. Draft in the trenches.
And Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah. And Dexter Lawrence too, yeah. Oof.
That's real. Like, I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but that is real. I think that says plenty about the current state of the New York Giants. All right. That is all we've got for today. If you guys are watching this on YouTube on Tuesday morning, our Week 13 hangover should be available in your podcast feed. It'll be up at 12 Central Time on Tuesday. Fun one today. We talked about the Sunday night game last night, chatted about Cards Bucks, dug into the Saints Dolphins game, which other than this game was the other one on the slate this week that had like multiple NFL blitz type hits from like 2002. It was just ridiculous what happened in that game. So dug into all that with Derrik. Encourage you guys to go check it out. For now, though, that's all we got. Appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you very soon.